council tax. Oh, it's the bane of your life, isn't it? And it goes up and up and up, and it certainly will be going up even more next year, we expect, trying to pay for some of the costs of the pandemic and indeed particularly social care as well. That'll be on top of your national insurance rise. And of course, stamp duty paid by everybody, of course, who buys their home. We've had that stamp duty holiday, which caused a rush of people trying to purchase homes. But the Institute for Public Policy Research, once builders Tony Blair's favourite think tank, has said that both council tax and stamp duty should be scrapped. They should be replaced with something, well, rather more accurate and rather fairer: the value of your home. Shreya Nanda is an economist at the IPPR and joins us now to talk about that. Good morning to you, Shreya.
Good morning.
Lovely to talk to you. I've got to be honest with you, I was a political journalist for a very, very, very long time. I think roughly every 3 months throughout my entire career, we would have a new report out about how someone wants to get rid of council tax because it's terribly unfair. It's still based on the prices of our homes. What is it? I mean, goodness knows. I mean, decades ago.
30 years ago.
30 years ago. And everyone thinks we should scrap it. The trouble is, no one can quite agree with what should replace it. So what do you think should replace it?
So we're saying that we should replace council tax with a proportional property tax. So that's a tax based on the value of your house. So at the moment, somebody who lives in a very expensive house in London could be paying the same or even less council tax than someone living in a much less expensive house in somewhere like Middlesbrough or Hartlepool. And we think that's wrong. And instead, the person living in the expensive house should pay more in tax.
That sounds really obvious and rather and perfectly fair, except for the fact that there will be, and again, I know this is a very London-centric thing. It always does when it become that when we talk about house prices because they're so ridiculous in London and the South East. But what about people? There are 2 points here. What about people who've either had to really, really scrimp and save to get on the housing ladder, huge deposits where they've had to buy an expensive home, huge costs on the mortgage every month, having to give up a lot of other things? Why should they be sort of penalised again? And the other is, lots of people, yes, very nice. They've sat on a property they bought for a normal price 20, 30, 40 years ago, and now it's gone up in value. But that doesn't necessarily mean they've got the income to pay huge extra taxes. They've been lucky. Well, but through no fault of their own, they might have been unlucky and lived somewhere where the price had gone down, and we don't help those people. Why should they be penalised for that?
Yeah, I don't think it's about penalising people. I think it is about helping those other people, as you say. And so if somebody can't pay, then one proposal says that they can just sort of defer the tax bill, like roll it up until they sell the house or until they pass on, when the house price will probably have gone up even more. So there'll be a tidy sum there available for them to pay the tax. And that means that's not about penalising those people. That's just about making sure that the chance to own a decent home is there for everybody, not just for some people.
Okay, but how does taxing people who are in a home that happens to go up in value, how does that help someone else get on the housing ladder?
So, for example, at the moment, over half of homeowners are living in houses with spare rooms, according to the government's definition, and that means that if we tax housing more, then some of those rooms will be freed up. So they'll move into smaller houses, or they'll start renting a room out, and that means that there'll be more houses available for renters and first-time buyers to move into, who at the moment might be living in quite a cramped accommodation or living quite far away from where they live.
I've got a spare room. Why shouldn't I be entitled to have a spare room?
Well, it's just about saying, everybody wants to live in certain parts of the country, but at the moment, lots of people are locked out of those property markets.
They're locked out by the fact that there's increasing demand, with huge numbers of more people coming into the country, a mass immigration we had for a number of years, but also the crucial fact that people live on their own, they live alone, they're not married for so long, people break up of partnerships, people live longer, as you say, older people staying in those homes for much longer. We need far more homes, even for the same number of people, but we've even got more people as well. But we're not building more homes. The answer to this is to build more homes, not to tax people more heavily on the homes they've already got.
I totally agree. I'd love to see us building loads more homes, but obviously successive governments have been trying to do that for many years, and it's not happened.
They've talked about doing it.
But I think this would help, because people would be able to say, well, on the one hand, I can pay this big tax bill, or on the other hand, I can let people build some more houses where I live so that other people can live there too.
Okay, well, we'll no doubt be debating this again in a few months' time over the many years. Shreya Nanda, economist at the Institute for Public Policy Research. The problem with this, of course, is whoever is brave enough to try and replace council tax, and it is a broken system, will end up being blamed for everyone everyone whose tax goes up. And yes, most people's tax will then go up. At 9:48 is the time. This is Talk Radio.
Online, on DAB+,